A promotion to the second line, Rasmus Sandin news, Jake Muzzin back skating, and a new look third line. There was so much that went on at Maple Leafs training camp today. We are now in the second week of training camp, which means it's not training camp anymore. It is preseason, according to Sheldon Keefe. I don't know what it means, but we're going to roll with it. Also, don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video where I give you the latest details on the Rasmus Sandin situation. If you do want Rasmus Sandin to re-sign with the Maple Leafs, hit the like button down below because he's watching. First off, we got to talk about Adam Gaudette is out day-to-day with a shoulder injury. David Kampf missed Monday's skate due to a personal matter. This doesn't really make a difference, but with Kampf gone, I wonder if they make a few different line combinations than they would have if Kampf was there. It's not really the biggest thing, but I just thought I'd let you know that Adam Gaudette and David Kampf missed Monday's skate. And we'll begin this news and notes sort of video with Jake Muzzin. Like I said, he was seen skating. He was not with the regular group, unfortunately. He was skating alongside Pierre Engvall on a different pad where they're both trying to get back and return from injuries. As you may already know, Muzzin has been dealing with back discomfort for the last week, and this is the first time he's been on the ice. There hasn't been any news on whether or not he's going to return in the next week, so we'll have to stay tuned for that. But it's a good sign that he's gotten back on the ice. And Pierre Engvall, as we know, is dealing with an ankle/foot injury. He does have a follow-up on October 3rd, so we'll really know then if he's going to be back in training camp or if there's going to be more time to nurse that injury. From Luke Fox, Jake Muzzin skated solo today, but no clarity on how his health is progressing. Keefe says a couple little things started bugging Muzzin leading up to camp, not related to concussions. He was feeling good enough to go, and then not so much. So with there being a number of things on his plate, I can't see him being really close to returning. I can see maybe him playing one game during the preseason, but that may be unlikely too. There's not really much to know about Muzzin's status as of right now, so there's really no point in talking about where he might end up in the future. But speaking about on-ice stuff and things that happened during day whatever this is of Leafs training camp, we have two groups, and they're new groups of players, as you can see right now. The most interesting note of them all is that William Nylander, Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews, and John Tavares are back in one group, which means things are starting to fall into place. It seems as though Sheldon Keefe is taking the top six and putting them into one group, and then he's taking the bottom six and putting them in another group. So we'll see what happens over the next few days, but I just thought that was one of the interesting things. As well, Ilya Samsonov and Matt Murray are both in the first group, which is with Matthews, Tavares, Marner, and Nylander. So that's a little other thing as well. The most interesting thing, though, from all of this is the line. So we're going to take a look at those right now. We're going to get into the group one lines first, and I want to highlight one forward line for a second, and that's Malgin, Tavares, and Nylander. In the Leafs' first game of their doubleheader against the Senators, Malgin was with Pontus Holmberg and Nylander, and he looked really good. So I think this is where Sheldon Keefe is going to say, let me put him with Tavares and Nylander as the main second line, and let's see how he does. Malgin could do really well and could be great alongside Tavares and Nylander, or there could be some things that they might want to look at and might want to try and fix. And then once they fix those, Malgin could be a fit there. He's got a lot of skill. He's got some good speed. He's got some good shots. So there could be a fit there. I don't really like the fact that he is a right shot playing on the left wing. But again, if it works, it works. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was Morgan Rielly paired up with Jordie Benn in the first group. Now that's a little bit interesting because Rielly has played a lot with TJ Brodie. And I don't think Ben is going to be playing alongside Morgan Rielly on opening night, but it would work as a pairing. I mean, you have Jordie Benn, who's a very tough, very physical guy, alongside Morgan Rielly, who likes to join up and go in the rush. It would fit pretty well. As I'm thinking about it right now, though, it's always possible that Rielly and Benn could begin as the first pairing on opening night with Jake Muzzin out. As well, you're thinking about it, Timothy Liljegren isn't going to be there, and unless Rasmus Sandin automatically resigns in the next day or so, which it could be possible, it probably is unlikely, but if that was the case, that would move, I think, Ben out of this conversation that we're having right now, and it wouldn't even be a fact. But if Sandin does not resign, I wouldn't mind Rielly Ben as a pairing on opening night, but I also wouldn't mind Rielly Brodie, which we've seen a lot in the past. Before we do get into the second group, though, we did get some news on Samsonov and Murray and how they're going to divvy up playing time in the next few weeks of preseason. So this is what Sheldon Keefe said after today's training camp. From Terry Koshan, Keefe said the plan is to give Murray and Samsonov full games in final 4 preseason games after Wednesday's match versus Montreal. Samsonov to play in Belleville versus Ottawa on Friday. So I think the plan for Wednesday night's game is to have Matt Murray play the first 40 minutes, similar to what happened in the Ottawa game where Samsonov played 40 and then another goalie got 20. That's going to be the case here. It's going to be Murray for the first 40, and then I believe Shalgren for the final 20 minutes of action on Wednesday night. But now Group 2, because Group 2 got very interesting. We didn't have many lines to look at, but there were 2 little tiny things that really made a big difference, and I'm really excited to see if it sticks during any of the training camp and preseason or even into the regular season. From Jonas Siegel, Leafs hopeful Zach Aston Reese is skating on a line with Alex Kerfoot and Calle Jarnkrok today. Also notable, Mark Giordano and TJ Brodie teamed up on D. We gotta talk about these little tidbits. Although they're little, they're pretty big in my opinion. If you get Zach Aston Reese alongside Kerfoot and Jarnkrok on a line, especially the third one, you have a defensive powerhouse on one side, and then as we've seen in one of the games versus Ottawa, Jarnkrok has a really good shot. He could really up the offensive play of this line, and Kerfoot as well is a consistent offensive defensive guy. And one more thing on that, you look at Zach Aston Reese, he's even said that he wants to up his offensive game and he's going to use the Leafs development staff to help do that. So this could be a scary two-way line that could have a lot of good defense, but when they get up into the offensive zone could be very effective as well. We got to talk about Mark Giordano and TJ Brodie as a pairing, because if they were good in Calgary, imagine what they could be here. I don't know, again, similar to Morgan Rielly and Jordy Ben, if this is going to be a long time pairing, but just to see this in a game, even whether or not it's in the preseason, the regular season, or both, this could be a pretty good pairing. Both guys are really smart defensively and pretty good in the offensive zone as well. They both have a lot of experience playing together and just playing a lot of experience, a lot of minutes as well. So this is an interesting pairing. I really like it. I'm really curious to see what happens with that in the coming days, in the coming weeks, because I would love to see that pairing, just to see how good they would do in a real regular season game. But now, the moment you've all been waiting for, some news on the Rasmus Sandin contract negotiations. From Mike Cormack, a little Monday morning Rasmus Sandin update via reporter Chris's debut inside the NHL newsletter. Now, if you didn't catch Chris Johnston's new newsletter, I'll put a link in the description below where you can sign up, and every Monday he comes out with Inside the NHL, which is a little article with a lot of news throughout the NHL and what's going on. So again, if you want to sign up for his newsletter, which comes out every Monday, I'll put a link in the description. Click on it and put your email in, and it comes right into your inbox on Monday morning. But going back to the Rasmus Sandin situation, this is what Chris Johnston had in his first Monday newsletter Inside the NHL article. It's believed the Leafs and agent Louis Gross have focused recent discussions on 1 and 2 year extensions. The Sandin camp has sought a 1-year contract above his qualifying offer, approximately $875,000, or a 2-year term north of the $1.4 million AAV taken up by teammate Timothy Liljegren in June. Now, my take on this situation is this. Sandin has not had a better last year on the Maple Leafs than Liljegren has. Liljegren has been better, and although it might be a hair better than Sandin was, he was still better, and he was still effective in the Maple Leafs roster in the regular season and in the postseason when Rasmus Sandin wasn't even playing in. I also really don't hope that Sandin is missing the rest of this training camp due to maybe $100,000 or $200,000. I get that it's a big amount of money, and for myself, that is a big amount of money, but for a hockey player to be waiting out and missing a training camp at 22 years old when you're really still in the big parts of your development, especially as a defenseman, when you're missing that time, you're going to hit the regular season when the NHL does, and all of the players are going to be miles ahead because they've had that training camp. They've had those moments where they've gotten the work through and they've gotten ready for this big season that is the regular season. And Sandin, when he's not at training camp, is again missing so much, and when he hits that first game, a lot of the players are going to be way ahead of him in terms of fit and physicality. I personally wouldn't mind him taking a bet on himself offer where he takes the $875,000 qualifying offer and just goes with it. I mean, it's for him, it would be a chance to prove a lot of people wrong, especially the ones who are starting to dislike him because of this holdout. But getting that bet on yourself contract would allow him to show the Maple Leafs and their fans what he is worth. And that could be more than Timothy Liljegren. It might not be, but he's got to do something soon, because if he doesn't sign and the regular season begins, it's going to be a lot tougher for the Maple Leafs to get him at a number that he might want with the salary cap. So this situation has got a lot more interesting, but hopefully for the Leafs' sake, we see something about a contract between Toronto and Rasmus Sandin in the next few days, because if not, it's going to be an interesting next few months for both the team and Sandin's camp. Let me know what you think, though. Do you think he resigns? And what do you think the best number is for Sandin to be at? Let me know in the comment section down below. But yeah, this is where I'm going to end off today's video. That was all the news that happened around Maple Leafs training camp today. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like. If you really enjoyed it, subscribe. That helps a lot. And we'll see you in the next video, whenever that may be. Thanks for watching.